Well, hello again, everybody, and God bless. This is Jonathan Reichel with this week's Real with God episode, and I'm very happy to say that this past week some interesting things have fallen in line that should make way for another trip for me to go to India this upcoming October. My birthday's coming up October 21st, and as a little birthday gift that I've been asking for from God, I would really love to go to an event that they're having in New Delhi, where a lot of my good American buddies that I met in the Georgia camps and stuff are going to be meeting with a bunch of the believers in India, specifically in New Delhi, for an international laborers event, a leaders meeting where we all get together and have a really wonderful time in the scriptures and inspiring each other and sharing testimonies. And I would love to go there. And the one issue that remains is finances, and in this economy and in the time that we have currently within American economics and international economics, it's challenging for us to scrape aside some money for something, especially for $1,000 plane ticket, which is something of a discount from the $2,600 it was in December when I went to film my movie. But regardless, it's a quantity of money. And I was thinking about God. I do that sometimes. And I was thinking about how God does say that He wants to give us the desires of our heart. It brings Him joy when He blesses us and when He gives us things that make us happy. He's promised us that He'll provide our needs, but He also enjoys giving us just extra stuff. And I don't absolutely have to go to India. It's not a need of mine to go to India again, but I really would enjoy the fellowship and the time there for the special event, and I'd like to visit one more time before the year is up. And I was talking to God and just checking with Him to see if it made sense. God, I mean, I don't have full-time work, and what exactly should I be doing in this situation? And I was thinking about the one of the major reasons that I haven't had a huge influx of work in the last couple of months is that I've been traveling a lot, and before that I was focused on school and finishing up my UCF requirements. And I graduated, and then I traveled all throughout the U.S. To Virginia and to Georgia, and you've watched the videos, you've seen some of that stuff. And now that I've finally settled down and started doing some finished up some unpacking and stuff, I was wondering, okay, I'm ready for some full-time work now. What's in the way, God? What do I need to be doing here? And of course, the first thing that came to mind was, oh, you got to get your resume out there and start advertising your business, and do what business makers do what money makers do in the market. And I went ahead, and a couple weeks back I advertised for my videography services, and I didn't get a single hit. And usually I drop one in, and the kind of work that I'm in, the kind of services that I provide, usually get some kind of work. And it dawned on me, as things often do, as I think about them and ask God about them, that I really have not been keeping up with tithing. And it's kind of an odd idea that tithing would be so directly related to finances as far as income is concerned. Because usually we think of, oh yeah, of the extra money you have, you give a little bit to your church, and you add a little bit here or there. But I used to be very, very consistent with giving of the income that God gave me. Before I paid taxes, before I did anything, I would take at least 10% and put it inside a jar. And then at the end of the week, or as soon as a need came up, I would donate that money to a church group or an international missions group, or give it to someone in need within the fellowship or within the church. And I found that God consistently blessed my work, and He consistently blessed my businesses during those times, and work was always in ample supply. And I realized that I really hadn't done anything with that jar since I've been moving around, and since my work income has been sporadic. I really haven't done anything with that, and I realized, wow, it's really in the times where you need work that you should be giving even more, that you should really be sending out, because God promises us that as soon as we give, we receive, and it's always more blessed to give than receive, so that's always a fun bonus as well. So I thought, let's hit the scriptures, and John, let's really find out, where does this tithing thing come from? Do people say it's 10%, and what is the relevancy of that? So if you guys want to go ahead and crack open your Bibles, or do a web search for the chapters and verses I'm about to check out here, just to prove that I'm not lying about the scriptures here. There are a couple of verses that came up when I was doing some research into this, and the very first instance, and the very first example that God spoke to anybody about tithing and about specifically the 10% figure was in the Old Testament. How about that? It's a pretty old concept. And it was God speaking to Moses just after he had helped the children of Israel leave the land of Egypt after the Exodus, and this is in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 26. And it says in the NIV, I usually like the King James Version for research, but I think they say it well here in the NIV. It's very communicative. But it says, in Numbers chapter 18, verse 26, "Speak to the Levites and say to them, when you receive from the Israelites the tithe I give you as your inheritance, you must present a tenth of that tithe as the Lord's offering." And just a little side note here, the Levites there were one of the 12 tribes of Israel who were specifically in charge of taking care of the tabernacle. And the tabernacle was the mobile temple of God that was very specifically laid out and set up, and the Levites took care of that. And there were expenses involved with the maintaining of the temple, or the tabernacle, at the time. And the Levites would receive 10% of the offering from the children of Israel to maintain the temple and to help make sure that God's house, here on earth, was well tended to. And also it speaks some more in detail about this in 2 Chronicles chapter 31, verse 5. So if you want to flip those pages, children, right along with me. It says in 2 Chronicles chapter 31, 5 in the NIV. King James Version is just as sweet. It's all good. In verse 5 of chapter 31 of 2 Chronicles, it says, "As soon as the order went out, the Israelites generously gave the first fruits of their grain, new wine, oil, and honey, and all that the fields produced. They brought a great amount, a tithe of everything." So it says there just previously in Numbers 18:26 that God just requires 10%, easy to calculate, easy to work with, hook it up. And then 2 Chronicles 31:5 it says that the Israelites did it. It's like, hey, sweet, they received an instruction, they actually did it for once. Yay for paying attention to what God wants. And as you read on in 2 Chronicles chapter 32 and 33, you see that immediately after the Israelites would do the will of God, that they were blessed for it. And it really kind of reminded me that times are slightly different. In the New Testament, we don't have a specific temple of God that God commands us to give to. We don't have a tabernacle to provide money towards. But Jesus did say that you give unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, specifically talking about the money, the coin, and give unto God the things that are God's. And God really does look on the heart. He really does look on what we give and why we give, because God can bless much more actively someone that lovingly and out of the goodness of their heart gives to someone in need, or a group that could use the money for the purposes of God. God could bless that person much more than someone that just does it because they're commanded to. And it really made me aware of my own personal habits as of late when it comes to donating to the things of God. And it makes me much more inspired to become more active and to say, every single time that I receive any kind of income, first, before anything else, give it to God. Give at least 10% to God and to His purposes. And as soon as I decided to do that, in fact, just a day and a half ago, I decided, John, we're going to get on the ball here. When the mail goes out Monday, I'm sending some stuff out. As soon as I decided that, even before I had done it, I got a call from an old customer that I'd done some video work for. And she said that she had a friend that had some work that needed to be done, and that she'd be interested in hiring me for it. How about that? I hadn't even done it yet, but just that God knew that I was. God just kind of wanted to say, John, you're on the right track here. You're on the right track. Keep rolling with that. And I thought that was just so cool that God just wanted to give me the thumbs up, saying, John, you're kind of on the right track. So for this next week, I would really encourage us to discuss the idea of finances. And of course, God is beyond money. God is beyond just the tiny things of our day-to-day life, but He still cares about them. And He knows that money is required for a lot of what we do. So what do you think of when you think of tithing, when you think of 10%? Why do we give? Is it still worthwhile to give? Or is it just kind of an Old Testament ritual that is no longer in vogue? But what do you guys think about that? I'm convicted. I'm more convicted in my heart to really start getting more active with this. And I'm interested to see what your response is. What do you guys think about all this? So for this week, I also have a little tidbit. Be sure to check out the description of this YouTube video, because I have a poster of a movie that I just finished up called SHOWDOWN II. And this is a little wallpaper teaser to tell you of things to come. So check that out in the description of this video, just for some extra love from me. So for this week, this is Jonathan Reichel for the Real with God series. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. God bless you. Love you guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.